Thank you very much. I'm so pleased to have been invited to represent my U.S. colleagues and those of us from the American Marketing Association. So thank you very much for including us in your conference. We're very eager to share with you some of our experience. First, I'd like to congratulate all of you, though, for being here. For the reasons that we've heard this morning, the importance of a disciplined marketing approach and strategy in the NGO sector is so very important to the sustainability and the growth of the sector. And it's a very exciting time, I would think, to be part of the Indian NGO sector. There are many of you, but you are at a time when there is great possibility and great growth opportunities. So we actually are envious that you have such great opportunity in front of you. I made my move from the corporate world to the nonprofit sector in the United States about 10 years ago. And I did it for exactly the reason that we are here to discuss over the next 2 days. And that is that it was my observation that even in a highly developed nonprofit sector in the U.S., that the basic marketing discipline was not really being applied nearly the extent it could be. That we were often using marketing tactics, but without underlying brand strategies. And I had been a career-long builder of brands in the corporate world. Global brands had the opportunity to work both inside and outside the United States, and believe that it's so important to have an underlying brand strategy, and that we have much that we can learn, as we were just, as the prior speakers were saying, much to learn from the corporate world as we apply it to the nonprofit world. And I'm going to be speaking to you later this morning a bit more about that particular subject of brands. But I wanted to take a moment now to say that one of the most important things of any brand in the for-business or the nonprofit sector, the underlying foundation, is really trust. And I wanted to observe a bit that the world is in a bit of a trust crisis now, not just in this country but around the world. The Edelman Trust Barometer, they've been doing this trust barometer globally for 12 years. They measure the trust of everyday people on the institutions in countries around the world. So they measure business, government, media, and the NGO sector. And in these days, we are actually at an all-time low around the world of people's trust of institutions to do the right thing. So there's a real lack of trust at this moment in any kind of sector to actually step up and do what's needed to be done. And I think that in any given country, we think about our own political situation and we believe that maybe that's a problem we have uniquely. We certainly have some very unique challenges in the political process in the United States right now. And as I've been here for a few days in India and talking with colleagues, understanding that there's a sense that, yes, the question of trust of government and of media and the challenge and suspicion around that. And I'm here to tell you this is not a unique Indian problem whatsoever. The good news for us in the NGO sector is that of all of the sectors, everyday people, trust us more to do the right thing than they do government, business, or the media. So we start from at least a higher base. On a worldwide basis, it's about 50% of people say that they trust the NGO sector. But interestingly, here in India, you actually have a much higher number of trust for the NGO sector. And in fact, you're one of only 2 countries that saw growth of people trusting NGOs in the last year. You are actually 18 points ahead. So the average trust for the NGO sector globally is 50%. Here it's 68% as measured by this Edelman Trust Barometer. They release this every year at Davos, Switzerland at the World Economic Conference. And so it was just earlier this year in January that they released this information. And so only India and China have actually seen an extreme growth yours has been trending up over the last 4 years. And so I think that you should bear that in mind as we think about over the next couple of days, as you hear the various speakers, as you hear and think about applying marketing principles. I think it's very important that you start from this solid foundation of trust. And that really, as we talk about applying marketing to the sector, and specifically to your own individual NGO, as you try to differentiate it, that this notion of trust and the fact that you begin with an underpinning of that is something that is very, very important. And again, I think it's an opportunity for you to build on. So I'll look forward to talking with you after this esteemed panel a bit more about the harnessing the power of corporate brand strategic thinking for the nonprofit sector. Thank you again very much for having me with you today.